Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from burner account 140226 from the OffMyChest subreddit. It says, my husband spent over $3,000 on World Cup tickets. We can't afford this and I'm furious. The original post was posted on 15th of February 2026. I thought I'd just give that out just to give reference of when he's actually bought these tickets because the update is coming on the 12th of July 2026. But the original first. I don't need any advice about what to do. I just need to get this out because of how absolutely furious I am. My husband bought 3 tickets for the World Cup and each one cost over $1,000. I've been furious since I found out. We absolutely cannot afford this and my husband knows it, but he still bought them. I found out he entered the most recent lottery to get tickets. I've since found out that it was different from the previous lotteries. Instead of going online and buying tickets right when they went on sale, you had to submit a list of which games you wanted tickets for, and if you won the lottery tickets, then your credit card would automatically get charged. Our credit card was charged on Monday, and normally I get an alert whenever our card is used, but my husband deleted it from my phone before I saw it. It didn't see the charge until 2 days later and thought our card was compromised. I found out what the charge was and I was still going to dispute it because we absolutely can't afford it. But my husband already paid it and confirmed he made that purchase. He took money from our emergency account. We have less than $100 in our emergency account now. Our emergency fund was low already because 2.5 years ago my husband lost his job and he was out of work for a year. We had to dip into our emergency savings a bunch of times while he was unemployed. He knows what our financial situation is like and I can't believe he did this. If I didn't have some overtime shifts scheduled over the next 2 weeks, we would not be able to afford our next mortgage payment. I'm furious and he says I'm overreacting. He says he's taking his dad and his brother to the World Cup because both of their birthdays are in the same week as the game. But that doesn't mean we can afford to spend over $3,000. My husband said at least the tickets didn't cost him $1,500 each and also dropped a bomb on me. He applied for tickets to every game that is being played in our city, and if he had won all the games instead of just one, the total cost would have been over $12,000. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I asked my husband where we would have gotten that kind of money, and he just said we would figure it out. He tried telling me that Canada has a huge demand for World Cup tickets, so that's why it's cost him over $1,000 per ticket, as if that is an explanation for what he did. I can't even explain how furious I am. We've been going to marriage counseling because of how strained things got after my husband got fired, but that's not going to cut it anymore. I've always been the breadwinner in our marriage, and that's never bothered me, but now this stupid decision he made is the last straw. I tried to make it work, but I can't anymore. I'm going to get my ducks in a row and talk to a lawyer before I do anything with our finances. Then I am done with him. He thinks I'm overreacting and that all of this is a big joke. I'm done. Also, I'm going to turn off chats. I don't need to be called a doormat or other names. I'm not going to marriage counseling anymore and I'm leaving him. I don't need to hear I'm spineless over and over. I get it. That is absolutely terrifying and would be a complete deal breaker for me as well. It was everything surrounding them. He secretly entered multiple of these lotteries knowing that they would automatically charge the credit card, and then he was deleting the payment notifications from his wife's phone so she wouldn't see it, and emptied their emergency fund to pay for it. And then is acting like she's overreacting. My head is in my hands right now because I'm just like, really? What are you doing? And then has the bloody cheek to say, if we had won all the games, it would have been over $12,000 and we'd figure it out. That is terrifying irresponsibility because it's not just one impulsive purchase, which would be bad in itself, but that's someone who was willing to gamble away the family's financial security and is just playing it off like, oh, we'll figure it out some point down the line. How? And you'd think with his past and losing his job, he'd be more cautious, not less. And I say it a lot within these stories, but the trust is clearly gone there. How do you come back from that? And once that's gone, it's a fast downward spiral, isn't it? A commenter comes up with a good point and says, so he's using your money and not even taking you. Commenter says, I thought he'd at least be taking her, but when I read he's taking his dad and brother. Opie says, I don't watch or follow soccer at all. Even if we could afford tickets, I wouldn't go to a game. I do understand your point, but a ticket would be wasted on me. I would just be bored the entire time. Commoner says, I think the point is, you use pretty much all of your emergency funds. It should be on something mutual, not showboating with your money to his family. Commoner says, sell the tickets on the secondary market. Make a loss into a win. Depending on the match, you could make 2 or 3 times. Opie says, I don't have the tickets. My husband had them and I have no idea how to even access them. Now he's telling me he transferred them to his dad or his brother. He won't say which one because he doesn't want me to be able to ruin this for them. I'm done with him over this. Commoner says, I'm so sorry you're going through this. $3,000 to have this person out of your life may be the best expense you have. Start closing accounts and financially protect yourself. Surround yourself with good people and make a game plan. Good luck. Religion of Speed says, tell his father about it, if not for anything but to cause some chaos before you leave. I'm not normally for this, but assuming his father isn't the reason for the way he is, it might end up with your soon-to-be ex-husband learning a real lesson since this clearly isn't getting to him. Maybe you'll even end up with your money back and be rid of the leech who lost it in the first place. Opie says his dad doesn't care, and neither does his brother. Wow, bloody hell. Commoner says, they can support him now. If it were me, I'd be locking down finances, freezing credit, closing joint accounts and stashing money into a new account at a bank or credit union he knows nothing about, and I'd do it all quietly. Then as soon as he leaves for the game, I'll start packing his stuff so he can move it to his dad's or his brother's. Financial infidelity is a trust destroyer. You deserve to work for you, not a spongy guy who shows you no respect or appreciation. You're clearly capable. I bet you'll be way better off by this time next year. Opie says the World Cup is in June and July. I'm not waiting until then to leave. I'm leaving him now. I'm going to speak to a lawyer and get all my ducks in a row. I want to find out what financial obligations I have towards him before we get divorced. My friend's husband got into trouble for withdrawal of financial support when he left. The court did not like that. He did that while they were still married. I don't want that to happen to me, so I need to talk to a lawyer before I do anything with money. I also have to make plans to move because our condo is in both of our names, and I already know I can't force him to leave if he doesn't want to. I'll ask the lawyer how to go about that. I understand and I get the legals about not touching the money until divorce or whatever, but I still find it absolutely mad. You got this person who's showing such financial irresponsibility, willing to spend X amount, and you have to leave your money there and hope that he doesn't fucking do anything with it himself. Incredibly stressful, but OP comes in 5 months later and says, I'm the person whose husband spent over $3,000 on World Cup tickets, leaving less than $100 in our emergency account. He tried to justify it by saying Canada had a huge demand for tickets and that's why it cost over $1,000 per ticket. Meanwhile, if I had not had some overtime shifts scheduled at work, we would not have been able to afford our next mortgage payment because the money in the emergency fund was all gone. The emergency fund already was low already because 2.5 years ago he lost his job and he was out of work for a year. We had to dip into our emergency fund a bunch of times while he was unemployed. He knew how precarious our financial situation was, but he thought World Cup tickets were more important. I posted 5 months ago and my update is just a small one, but I've left him and I'm seeking a divorce. I moved out 4 months ago. We've been going to marriage counseling because of how strained things got after he got fired from his job for the second time during our marriage, but the World Cup tickets were the nail in the coffin. Before I moved out, he had the gall to complain to me about how we couldn't afford some of his favorites from the grocery store. If it wasn't for me working some overtime, we wouldn't have been able to buy any food at all. I've already hired a lawyer, and since there was no case for a fault divorce, I have to be separated from him for a year in order to get a divorce. Although my lawyer said the only thing filing on a fault ground does is forgo the 1-year waiting period. It doesn't affect the settlement or the division of assets. I may have to pay some spousal support since I was the higher earner, but it's a small price to pay for being rid of him. He doesn't want a divorce. He asked me to stay and continue marriage counseling. He still went to the game 3 months after I left, while also telling me I should stay. Also to address some things from my first post that kept coming up. His dad and brother did not care about him spending our emergency fund on the tickets. His dad, his brother, his friends thought he was right. We all live in the city where the game was played. No one would have to get a flight or a hotel. I don't watch soccer, and even if we could have afforded tickets, I wouldn't have gone to a game. My anger was about him draining our emergency fund. It wasn't about me not being invited to the game. Instead of going online and buying tickets right when they went on sale, you had to submit a list of which games you wanted tickets for, and if you won any games you applied for, your credit card would automatically get charged. He applied for the tickets to every game that is being played in our city, and if he had won all the games instead of just one, the total cost would have been over $12,000. This was enough to tell me that our marriage was over. I'm following the advice of my lawyer regarding finances, and will not be fully withdrawing financial support as many comments in my first post suggested. I don't want to face consequences in the divorce proceedings and will follow my lawyer's guidance on how to proceed, no matter how much the comments double down on what I should do. As I mentioned in my first post, I'm leaving my messages off because I don't need more people calling me spineless or to keep telling me I didn't leave him the correct way. Commenter says, confused why they're calling you spineless when you're literally standing up to your husband. I'm glad that you're leaving him. I'm glad that commenter said that because I was confused as well. It's like, OP hasn't been spineless at all. It was immediately when this all came up, it was like, no, fuck this, I'm leaving if this happens, right? But another commenter said, only parasites like her ex would criticize her. They don't like it when they feel attacked for being the dumpster fire humans they are. And OP is making absolutely the right decision in this, and the part that blows my mind, and I know it shouldn't, but the dad and the brother and the friends all thought this was perfectly acceptable unless they're hearing some weird ass side of the story, which might be possible, right? But OP did confirm that the dad or the brother at least know about it and they just don't care. Imagine thinking it's reasonable to empty your family's emergency fund, risk missing your mortgage payments, and that you almost committed yourself to $12,000. I know it's $3,000 now, but was willing to go to $12,000, and we're just figure it out. And I say this as someone who's absolutely obsessed with the World Cup at the moment myself. I'd love to go, but there's no way I'm paying that kind of money for a football ticket. I just can't, not for me anyway. And not even against it, you know, if it's your thing and you can afford to go. But to turn your family's life upside down because of this is wild. If any of my siblings said they was doing this, I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? Behave yourself, will ya? But what about you guys? What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Title O, who says, I kinda hate my autistic brother. I rarely communicate with him like at all, but today I had to stop by my parents' house. He's there and opens the door like, oh, were we expecting you? I walked in and said I'd spoken to our mum, just dropping something off, blah blah. I'm also getting pretty pregnant and they have a huge driveway, so I'm huffing. He gets me a water as I sit down, which is nice. He then sits down, interview style, and asks how I'm going. Again, nice. Pleasantries are all I normally stick to. But today I made the mistake of saying my course just started, so there's been a lot going on. Working 4 days a week, I have an 11-month-old. I just started my masters, etc. My mistake. He then gets this huge smirk and says, I heard about this, so you're finally doing it. The last in our family to get their masters. I sit there and have to hold back. I end up just shrugging, but he continues. I was in the study today and I'm looking around at everyone's degrees on the wall, and I realize I'm looking around and there's hardly anything of yours. I end up leaving as he continues rambling with a giant smirk about how fucking great he is. I hold back because it upsets my mum. Like, bro, you're 30, live at home and don't have a job. It frustrates me so fucking much, like I'm here being an adult. You have no idea what responsibility looks like, but then I think how lonely he must be, and I feel fucking bad. Ugh, sorry, just needed to vent. So a commenter says to OP, having autism doesn't mean you can just be rude and unkind to people with no consequences. Your brother's words were hurtful. Sounds like the consequence for him is that he doesn't have a super close relationship with his sibling, because why would you want to hang out with him if he regularly acts like that? Sorry he was a jerk to you. OP replies saying, thanks girl, and you're totally right. We used to hang out and he was in my life, but eventually I said no, fuck this. I hate being a punching bag. He still sometimes asks me why we're not close anymore. Like what? A commenter says he's clinging on to the only thing that makes him feel superior. But when it is all boiled down, your life is much more adult than his, and I bet in some way he envies that. Tearing you down to make himself feel better is an awful thing to do. I'm sorry you had to sit through that. He's a dick, autism or not. Dicks come in all packages. OP says 100%. This is exactly what my husband said. When I finish my masters, I'll have one more degree than him, so I think I might be upsetting the balance of power in his head. Like, what the fuck? I'm literally doing this so I can apply for the role I'm doing in a permanent capacity. I can only temp in this role without a degree. It's exhausting. Thanks for confirming it's dick behavior. Commenter says, why are you holding back on him exactly? I'll probably get downvoted, but that diagnosis a lot of people seem to lean on can go but so far. Everyone has consequences at some point. I think it's time you make a choice. Choose your mental health and just stop interacting with him if you don't want to tell him a few choice things, or keep letting him chip away at you and eventually your children as they get older. Because you know, Unky Arsehole has autism, so it's acceptable. Best of luck. Opie says, literally spat out my coffee at Unky Arsehole. You're totally right. I very rarely talk to him, and I'm so worried about the shit I say to my kids. But I also love how involved my parents are with my son, and I don't want to impact that, which is hard, as my brother still lives at home. For real, I will lose it at him if he starts impacting my kids though. Good heads up, I need to mentally prepare for. Thanks, girl. Someone says, promise me you won't bash yourself against the rocks regarding him anymore. You have a new life to care for now, and his negativity isn't welcome. Make sure you keep super strong boundaries for your own sake from here on out. Your parents are welcome to make their own decisions, but you can keep whatever distance you need to. I'm proud of you. Opie says thank you. I think yesterday threw me, as I haven't interacted with him in ages and felt annoyed. I opened up for a second and it was thrown back at me. But lesson learned. Thanks for letting me vent. One more commenter says, dude, sounds like he sucks. I would suck regardless of autism. Sorry you had to go through that. Also good on you doing uni with a kid. That's not a mean feat. You rock, mama. So it was 4 days after this that Opie came in with a post that said my autistic brother saw the post. Hey all, posted earlier in the week about my brother, 30 male, diagnosed autism, talking down to me and how I've always been told by our mum to not upset him or speak up. Anyway, he called me on Wednesday and said he read the post in comments. I was expecting him to blow up, but he apologized, said he appreciated the reality check and thought he was just having banter. I said it wasn't funny, that he was being mean. He agreed. I was genuinely so shocked and we had a nice convo. First one in years. He asked me to delete the post now that he had apologized and I did. So nice chat, all was good. Then today I get to my mum's house to drop off my son for a few hours so I could go to a hair appointment. We walk in and she's excited to see him, but acting really weird. She then hands me a pile of paper with my post and comments printed on it. I can't even process at this point. Full-on printed paper like it's police evidence. Turns out my brother saved everything, got me to delete the post and showed it all to our mum. She made me feel so bad and started defending him. But when she said, remember, he processes things differently. You need to be sensitive and more mature. I fucking lost it. I don't know if it was the pregnancy hormones or decades of resentment, but I said, absolutely no way am I doing this. This is so childish. Read the post again, and if you can't see there's something wrong here, then I'm done. I left and took my son with me. He ended up having fun with all the other lovely women at the salon. My hair looks amazing and I feel so proud of myself. The zen I feel having blocked my family is just incredible. I'll reach back out to mum at some point, but right now I'm just enjoying some quiet. Oh, and a massive fuck you to my bro. Crispy pork belly and fried rice for dinner. The top comment to OP on this one said, I hope he reads this comment and finds that he is a huge arsehole. Holy shit. I'm so sorry, OP. That is such a huge betrayal. He genuinely devised an evil plan just to backstab you. He's not that autistic. He's fully aware and shallow. Watch him still use autism as an excuse. I have autism, so I can be a dick about his autism. Keep taking your son to the salon with you. As you said, he had fun. And if the other parties in the salon don't mind a kid being around, then 100% keep hanging with him. Honestly, that kid might start seeing that as him and mummy time, especially since there's another little one on the way. You can enjoy personal time with you before you get really busy, and maybe y'all can keep doing that together after new baby comes. Hope he says yes, thank you, and absolutely. Had a great day with my son, even though he tried eating the cut hair on the floor. Oof. But definitely don't need to rely on my family if it's going to cause this level of drama. Another commenter says, fuck your brother. I hope he reads this. Hope he says 100%. Oh my god, I should print this and send it to him. Commenter says, well, now you know. Your brother got enabled by your mother to be a jerk and get away with it. It's unhealthy and wrong and unfair. I'm glad you see this and are processing it well, OP. No way the brother doesn't know exactly what he's doing, being so toxic and antagonistic. Autism doesn't make you a calculating jerk. OP says that's exactly what I'm seeing now. Hope my mum opens her eyes too, but I'm done with this craziness. Another commenter says, I saw your post. As someone else who is also 30, all I can think while reading both of your posts is, what the fuck, man? Bro, act your age. You aren't in high school anymore. This isn't Mean Girls. You're a grown-ass man now. Act your age. You pay taxes. OP says, holy shit, I know. It's high school behavior, and I have a life and bigger things happening. It's so wild to me too. And a commenter says, well, if he reads this one, Mother dearest, you failed as a mother clearly. I'm glad you walked out. You don't deserve that kind of behavior. Glad your salon date went well with your little one. Definitely time for some ice cream. I gotta tell you, the first update with a brother apologizing had me. Well, he was admitting to being mean and was even seeming to understand why. And then he completely manipulated the situation by getting to OP to delete the post and printing it all out and taking it to their mum. Ah, gee, that's some calculated shit right there. And the mum's just as bad as this, enabling this kind of behavior, saying that you need to be more mature because he has all the autism. And that's exactly how you're going to end up with a 30-year-old who thinks he can insult people without consequences. It's not going to get better. And I think the healthiest thing for OP is blocking them at the moment. And I think things are going to just be a lot easier going forward for her. And I really hope that is the case. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Tech and the City from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit and says, Am I the Arsehole? Requiring brother-in-law's family to vacate the primary bedroom when my family visits our vacation house. My 36 female parent and I own a property in a tier 1 Asian city that has been in our family now for 3 generations. My parents were considering selling it a while back, but I bought them out, though I paid lower than market price. My parents were happy with the deal and they still have a place to stay when they go back. Usually the property is rented out, but my husband's younger brother fell on hard times and we offered to let them temporarily stay at the property rent-free so they can save up. They've been there for the past 2 years. Whenever we've gone back to visit, usually once a year for 2 weeks, I've had to specifically request that they temporarily vacate the primary bedroom. They hemmed and hawed the first time until my husband, 38 male, reminded them that we were doing them a favor. This year, we're not going back, but my parents are. I gave them a half-year heads up on the dates my parents were going. All seemed fine. Last week, I got a call from my parents saying they were staying in a hotel. Apparently they arrived, and my brother-in-law and sister-in-law said they were hosting friends, and the only space available was the home office with a pull-out couch. My parents are in their 70s and did not want to fight them after a long flight, and also did not want to antagonize my relationship with my in-laws, so we decided to move to a hotel. I was furious. Typing this, I am still furious. I told my husband that he should be the one to handle this because no one would like the way I handle it. My husband basically told his brother that he's done and needed to move out immediately. My brother-in-law and sister-in-law text me and left me voice notes calling me a bunch of names. In-laws have called me begging me to reconsider and to give them grace. Frankly, I don't really care what happens to brother-in-law and sister-in-law anymore. I haven't responded to any messages and I'm just letting my husband handle it. It's the level of entitlement in this. It's staggering, isn't it? You're living rent-free in someone else's property for 2 years, saving thousands in rent, which the OPs wanted them to do to be able to save money for themselves. How generous is that? And you can't give up the primary bedroom for a couple of weeks when it's requested. That's already pushing it, but then inviting friends over so there wasn't even a proper room available for the parents is why it's just beyond rude, isn't it? And imagine having that kind of attitude towards the people who are literally giving you a roof over your head. A commenter said to OP, not the arsehole, but you need to go there to assess damage or avoid damage, and change your locks and ensure there are cameras everywhere. Why Teach says, yeah, with this attitude, there is a good chance they will do damage before they leave. In OP's shoes, I'd offer them money if the place is in good condition when they leave it. Sort of returning their rental non-deposit. It may sound crazy, but they are not going to expect any consequences for damage they may do. Many years ago, in a Latin American country, my family moved into a rental where the previous tenant had taken the hot water heater, the back door, replaced a solid wood door with a cheap hollow door, and the bathroom cabinet when he moved out. People are weird. Lippy says, you're a more generous person than I am, if you'd be prepared to offer money to these ungrateful leeches. I prefer to go with a camera and legal action option than to reward their selfishness. It may not provide a better outcome, but I would simmer for eternity, knowing I'd rewarded and encouraged their behavior. A commenter says, not the arsehole, how dare they host friends when they knew that your parents were coming and that you, the owners of the house, expected your parents to be accommodated. Your husband was right to tell them to move out. They deserve no grace. Ice Seeker says they think that they're so smart for hosting their friends exactly at the same time OP's parents are coming. It's so blatantly obvious. As for the in-laws begging for consideration, they can give grace by taking the brother-in-law and his family in. Another commenter says, especially since brother-in-law and sister-in-law have had 2 years of free rent in their savings account. Spinning Color says, not the arsehole. 2 years of free rent in a tier 1 Asian city. So I'm imagining Tokyo, Beijing, Singapore, and you gave them 6 months notice to vacate the master bedroom for your parents. It's eviction time, baby. A month later, OP comes in and says, brief update. My husband ended handling the situation and had the time off to travel back, which he was not pleased about. We had decided it was prudent for us to pay for a few months of alternative housing for them as a way to cover all our bases. I'm so glad we did. I had, in a fit of temper, jokingly said to my husband that they were going to tell us they couldn't move out because they're pregnant, and lo and behold, when brother-in-law used that excuse, apparently it just set my husband off. This is a man that's never raised his voice to me above an excited rambling. I think the rage he went into genuinely scared his family. Brother-in-law and sister-in-law are now situated in the alternative housing. My in-laws called my parents to apologize, and overall the whole atmosphere is tense, but at least brother-in-law and sister-in-law are no longer living at my house and we can have peace of mind there. All in all, through this experience I feel incredible love and pride to have married my husband. I married this straight off the boat dude based on his principles, integrity and kindness, and time again he showed me why I have zero regrets over it. A commenter says, love the update. I'm glad your husband is not afraid to defend you and yours. And one more says, I'm so glad they're out of your house, but now you're also footing the bill for them to live somewhere else. Is this a leased property of some sort like an apartment? Are your names on any contracts as a guarantor? If so, do you have plans in the event they violate that contract? Not leaving at the end of term, cause excessive damage, just a couple of examples. And many of the commenters just pointing out, why are you still paying for alternative housing for them? They should have saved up something by now, right? But people saying, if you get them out of your hair and there is no ties to the apartment or anything that will come back on you, then fair play in some ways. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being here. Truly is absolutely amazing. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.